So essentially we want to make something with a lid, so I've drawn here 3 different styles of lid. So we've got a sort of drop-in lid where this fits directly into a cylinder. We've got a sort of over-the-top lid where an internal gallery has been made that the lid can sit over the top and it fits onto this bit and it will be seamless on the sides. And we've got a recessed gallery here where the pot sits inside, so that's like your sort of typical teapot sort of gallery fitting, and that's the one I'm going to show you. But all of the principles for this one and this one will be shown in this one, so you'll be able to see and get an idea of how you could make the 2 parts and how we measure between the distances of the 2 bits. So that's a bit better.
That's fine, yeah.
You ready? Is it
yeah,
going?
It's going.
This is the body of the pot. So I've thrown a rough cylinder, I've allowed it to be bellied in the middle, and I've left a thickness in the wall, particularly at the rim, so I can split the rim to make a gallery for the pot to sit inside. Now, this is smaller in scale than you might imagine your standard teapot, just as an example, but you can imagine we're talking about a round shaped form. So we might just want to belly this out slightly more. And leave plenty at the top to turn this in. So we're collaring. Bring that in. Now you have to be very careful of the turn in here, that you keep that geometry very sort of round. If it starts to get too much of a shoulder, you'll find that as you start to work on the gallery, it can easily drop in on itself. So now, the way I like to do this is to do some of it before I actually turn it in. So we could turn this over and drop the gallery inside, but then you really have to be able to get a finger in and support the action that you're doing. So what I prefer to do is actually start some of the work on the outside before I turn it in. So I'm going to start to split the rim at this point, out like this. And now I'm going to turn that in to the inside of the pot. Now I can do the finishing touches from the top, but the majority of the work was done when it was upright. Using a sponge and holding steady inside here to make sure that I've got a nice round finish to that. If that's just off slightly, it can spoil the fit of the lid. So you need to just be conscious and spend a little bit of time there. Then, as we would with any pot, tidy up the base. Undercut. Take off the slurry to ensure even drying. Clean up the vat again for even drying, and to save yourself some cleaning later on. And now we need to make two measurements. So with the calipers, when you're measuring the outside of something, you use them this way, and when you're measuring the inside of something, you use them this way. So I need two measurements. One is the internal fit in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So we're making a lid to fit the pot that we've just thrown. It's a very small piece of clay, probably about 200 grams, 250 grams, something like that. It can be hard to centre a lump of clay this size, so if you're confident in it, you could potentially do this off the hump if you're making lots at a time. So, centering a ball like that. I'm going to flatten this off without overdoing it, because I'm going to use some of the clay from the inside into the width of the wall. So So I'm using my calipers and the measurements that I've taken from the pot, and I'm working to a dimension that's going to be just slightly narrower, so I can ensure that it'll fit with a safe amount of wiggle. It's not going to wiggle around, but it's going to be a nice snug fit. So now I'm opening up the inside to start with, and I'm going to check my internal dimension, which is narrower than that. That's good. So I'm going to bring the whole thing back in a little bit. I'm going to make sure that this dimension is narrower than it needs to be. Something like this. And now with my fingernail I'm going to split down the wall here. And I need to make sure that this section goes to the same depth as this section, otherwise there's going to be a raise on the outside. So if you want that stylistically, you can do that, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for with this. I want it to be more of a flat curve over the top, so the depth of this part and this part have to match. So I'm taking this down, 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 like this, and I'm going to squeeze some of this back in to compress and consolidate this section. And I'm going to use the corner of a wooden rib into there. Give us a starting point. And now we have the basic shape that we're looking for. We just need to now ensure that the dimensions are exactly what we need. So the outside profile of this has to be slightly narrower than the inside profile of the gallery. At the moment it's slightly wide, so I'm just going to try and gently bring this in a little bit. It's very important that it fits here and not just up here. Very easy to make this bit the right size and this bit be too wide, in which case it's not going to fit all the way down to the neck of the pot. So you have to be very careful when you're measuring. Make sure that you have a straight profile down here. It's often useful to have a mirror positioned behind the wheel so you can see the profile from a distance. It's up to you how deep you want this section to be and how thick or thin you want it to be. To me, this is a little bit heavy and a little bit long, so I'm just going to throw it up a little bit. And I'm going to trim that off to the height that I wish it to be, which is something around there. The excess water. Now, important, check again with the calipers. Can they get all the way down? Yes, they can. It's going to be a comfortable fit. So now we need to turn our attention to the outside profile. Which is like this. You can, if you're gentle, you can mark with the calipers carefully. Make sure that your line marries up on both sides. And with a pin tool, I'm going to cut away the excess. bottom, cut through, peel away. So what we're looking for is a fairly thick bottomed, perfect little fit for our pot. Looks good. You can always trim this again if you need to, but ideally you get it spot on while it's on the wheel and it saves the work of going back to the pot. Ultimate is very slightly wider. Okay. Now, the trick to checking that it fits is not to wire this off, but to take the bat off, bring the pot back in. Now the lid is currently stuck to the bat, so I can turn it upside down and it won't.
Yeah.
Which we have. So now I'll allow both pieces to dry out to the same consistency of leather hard, and then I'll put this piece inside there and trim it in so that we get a seamless finish between lid and pot. If I can dry them out in time, I might do that today. So these are dried to the same consistency now, and I'm gonna trim this lid in place on top of this one. So I'm just gonna dampen this down to encourage the two to stick together. Don't want to absolutely soak it, but it needs to be slightly damp so that the two can sort of stick. And then we'll dry it off afterwards, and as they shrink separately, they should pop apart quite comfortably. So I'm just gonna try and, it's a nice fit in the base there. So that should do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the profile so that the profile runs seamlessly between this and the lid, between the body and the lid. And then if I wanted to, I could throw a knob on the top, or we could make a separate handle, but we'll give it a trim and see what we think. So I'm just going to start with quite a thin tool, so I'm not upsetting the lid sitting in there too much. I just want to start to even off and make a flat base. I don't want to take too much from the middle just yet, because obviously it's a sort of spherical shape, so I'll leave some height in the middle and start to work out. Broader turning tool. Where'd I put that big tool? I'm going to work down here. To me. I'm not frightened to take a little bit of clay off the body either. Checking to make sure we've got nice gentle sweeping curve between pot and lid. Slowly taking some of that excess clean away there. Turn this pot upside down without the lid and trim in a bit, but I'm just trying to do as much as I can while it's in one position. Yeah, and then you can just put it back in from the bit of doing the thing. I really don't like this thing, it's so thin.
Is that, do you want me to see if there's another one?
It's not really like, there's only the ones with the sort of round ends and none of them are particularly sharp. Yeah, you see the bit of wire on the end of it? It's like round rather than sharp edged, if you know what I mean. It's alright. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's alright.
Are we going?
Yeah, it's going. I am doing shit over this time. So it's been a bit fucking 10 years since I tried to throw an orb on the pot. Trust in your editing skills, man. Huh?
I'm trusting your editing skills. Let me look good.
I will, don't worry.
Somebody else too.
that lid to shrink a little bit. Hopefully, off it pops. To one side. Soften off the joints. Same for the edge of it.